Explain me the kind of day-to-day, like your average day in your
Okay.
job.
Well,
Yeah.
so since this is a research university, it means that the bulk of what we do is research and writing.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, if you're on tenure track as a professor, you do what's called 40-40-20. 40% of your job is research and publishing, 40% is teaching, 20% is service.
Okay.
That being said, you will not get tenure or promoted if you don't do the research.
Okay.
Like the research is kind of primary.
Okay.
Right? So you have to really love doing scholarly work, whether that is you're an archival historian or you're running data and writing about it as like a sociologist or a political scientist or whatever. And it usually 40% teaching usually means you teach 2 classes each semester. That's what that kind of works out to.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
What's your favorite part about your job?
Research.
Yeah.
I mean, that is my
learning more.
Yeah, I like kind of following my nose and digging into hard questions and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I like the teaching. I do. It's just, honestly, the two things are so counter sometimes in terms of timing. It's like, I'd kind of rather like teach all day and be in that mode with my students, but then like not be interrupted in the research. The kind of space you need to write and produce creative work,
it's hard to find.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not, if I didn't have to write and publish, I could teach, grade, do the stuff my kid needs at school, help the community, do all that fine in 40 hours a week. It's that you need 6 hours uninterrupted. People say, well, then try not to write the book so fast. And I get that. And I may have to pace differently. But then you get to diminishing returns because if you get to it so infrequently, you're just redoing. Yeah. It's like, where was I in this?
Yeah.
And
then you have to read back. And
right.
Then it's like, and then you're like, well, that doesn't sound right, so I want to change it. But you might have had a different idea about it before. And it's just difficult to kind of organize it all.
Yep. That's exactly right. You're like, I just want to plug into the world. Like, I want to be an informed person.
Mm-hmm.
On my end of it, it's what I do all day, every day.
Yeah.
It's what I teach, write, live, breathe. And so sometimes I just need to decompress from it.
Yeah.
But I don't get a lot of those opportunities.
And that's where you feel stuck.
I do to a degree because, everyone right now, I mean, it's wonderful to see so many people interested and engaged in politics. It's hard to be the person everyone goes to. I know what's happening, but I don't have the solutions. I'm the diagnoser. Yeah. That's my job.
Yeah. It's like you tell it how it is, but you can't give the medicine. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's a particularly tough, because I mean, I'll give like some whole talk on this book, and at the end, I mean, the first question is always the same thing. Well, what do people do? And I'm like, I have personal thoughts about that, but it's not my expertise.
And you don't see them being like,
to connect the dots
out in the world. Yeah.
It's like I'm not like that's political scientist's job is to diagnose, then like a social movement or activists, if they want to understand the problems and try to seek change, and they're kind of two different things, and you can't do both easily. Yeah. My job is not to tell them what to think. It's just to teach them how to think about politics. I want students to see all the nuance, not just simplify it into sound bites and pundits, like to really think it through. Like, how does this look to this part? Like, can we seek understanding? Things like that. So that's what, I try to do. I've never had any trouble. I've had, I've written letters of recommendation for students that are working from everywhere from the Trump White House to like, when Mark Pryor was in office, like across, like if they, whatever they want to do, I just support my students.
Yeah, of course. When you were my age, what did you see yourself doing, like in this line of work? No.
I mean, I didn't understand that an intellectual kind of world existed. I don't know how to say that. Like, I knew there's history in like textbooks. Yeah. And, like, I was interested some in history and some, a little bit in politics, but I didn't understand that there was, like, a group of, a job where people's role is to, create new knowledge, right? To like put ideas out there, to recast how we think about things, to tell stories about history that have been, forgotten, uncovered. I didn't know people were doing that work that then influences kind of
how we live
everything else.
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed. There are people who do political communication who get on campaigns and they write speeches and they write talking points and all of that. And that's one job. And there's people who cover politics as a journalist and they write about politics.
Yeah.
Right? And those are different lifestyles, different things. Like people who don't like to be in the same routine. Like if they're working on campaigns, those are going to change. Like the group of people is going to change. There's going to be real camaraderie. It's going to be like being at camp. Real camaraderie. And then it's going to like end in so excited or total disaster. And they're going to be on with another group. And now you're going to have like reunions and stuff. But then you're also going to disappear from each other.
Yeah.
Like some people love that kind of motion. You're also always scrambling. Other people like the steady, like, plant your feet, build a nest. If you hate research and you somehow, but you're okay at it and you're good at it maybe, and you somehow end up in one of these jobs, this job is going to be miserable.
Yeah.
Because that is what you are judged by. And if you can't do it or you don't have any ideas or you hate it, it's miserable.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So if you don't want to write, you don't want to read and do the research, if you just want to teach, that's awesome, but you should be at a teaching school.
Yeah.
Or you should be here doing like a different style of professorship, which is just teaching.
Yeah.
And if you love that, that is awesome. And there's no right or wrong. I just had a really big idea with this book and I got into it deep. And then as things played out, realized its potential and just felt very desperate to finish it.
Yeah.
So I really did not pace. I really killed myself to do it. And I don't know if I knew I was capable of having an idea that big. So like I didn't recognize it for what it was.
Yeah.
When I started in on it.
So you're like, I'm just going to include this.
Yeah, I'm
and
like,
then it
I think,
build
I think this is kind of there, but I doubted myself. And then as I started digging, I really realized it's right and it's not been set and I've got to do it. And then, it's like I didn't know what I was capable of producing. But then once I got into it, I had to finish it.
For me, someone who wants to be what you are now, what are just some key, overall advice, things that you haven't already given me?
Well, I mean, the best abstract advice I've ever gotten is, this is going to sound dumb, but instead of chasing the things, chase the things that get you the thing.
Okay.
In other words, it's like if you want to get, like in my line of work, if you want to get promoted, if you're like, oh, I want to get this endowed chair, I want to get this like fancy, university professorship or whatever. Like you can chase that by trying to be high profile, try to do this, but in the end, it's just the publications. You got to write the best stuff. Yeah. You got to have the biggest ideas. You got to work, you have to write beautifully and you have to do the research and you have to do and if you do that, that is your best, shot of, getting that thing that you want. Right. Yeah. So it's the same thing with instead of chasing the promotion, you chase the work.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate it.